Hi, I'm Heather from Heather Handmade. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a DIY fleece blanket. Please like this video and follow my channel for all sorts of fun sewing projects. Fleece blankets are warm and cozy. They make great gifts since you're only doing a little bit of finish for the edges. They are really durable and there's so many fun colors and prints to choose from. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to make a bunch of different finishes for the edges of the fleece blanket. There's bias binding, there's a hem, there's rickrack, there is tassels, there's just like a cut edge. I also have the tie version, which is a no-sew version. We love using fleece blankets when we watch movies or when we're reading on the couch. It's just great in the wintertime when you want to feel extra warm and cozy to wrap yourself in a warm blanket. It's great to use 2 yards to 2.5 yards of fleece. That's the right size. You can also double the layers. So you would use 5 yards of fleece to make it extra warm, and then use one of these finishes to combine the 2 layers. So let's get started. For a fleece blanket, you're going to need polar fleece, either 2 yards, it's kind of more of a throw size, or 2.5 is a slightly bigger if the person is pretty tall. If you are doing a trim edge, you will need the trim for the edge, or you will need like scissors or a rotary cutter to finish the edges the way you want. Before you get started, you're going to need to cut any white or like words off of the selvage. So this one has white on one selvage and there's nothing on the other side, but I'm still going to go along and cut. It's about 3/4 of an inch off because it has those, it's kind of a rolled edge and like those dots along the edge. To make it easier to show you without using a huge big piece of fabric, I'm going to be showing you some samples on these little pieces. So I'm going to do one with rickrack, one with bias binding. This one I'm going to do a hem, and this one I'm going to do a tied, like a fringe edge. So when you're doing a rickrack edge, I like to have a curved corner. I find it easier to sew the rickrack around the corner instead of, you know, like a 90-degree corner. And I don't even pin or clip the rickrack on. You can clip on if you want, but I essentially just put it on and sew right down the center of the rickrack, and then, you know, you go around the corner, and then you would go all the way around the blanket. This is another version of a trim that I'm not showing you how I sewed it on. It's essentially like rickrack or pom-poms, where I just sewed a zigzag stitch along, like on this trim edge, and then the tassels hang off of the edge. When you're finishing the edge with bias binding, I like to use pre-made bias binding. It makes it a little easier, but you can also use bias binding that you create yourself. You can get some fun prints that way. So I wrap it around, then I clip it around the edge. You kind of have to pull it if you're doing a corner. And then I don't sew it by hand. I just sew 1/8 of an inch away from this fold to catch this and the bottom. And then I go all the way around the blanket. If you are hemming the edge, what I would do, if this were my entire blanket, I would do 2 edges first, like this, and then sew that, and then I would do the other 2 edges. So if I'm going to do this side, I'm going to pin it, and a nice amount is about 1 inch. That would create a nice hem. And then I'm going to pin this side in place. Then I would do a zigzag stitch along this edge here and here, and that's how I would do the entire blanket. Another way to finish a blanket that I'm actually not going to show you in this video is, so this is 2 layers of fleece together. So I cut out 2 exactly the same. I sewed them together 1 inch from the edge, and then I went through and I cut a little slit up to the stitching every inch, and then I left that fringe how it is, and it slightly curls a little bit but it turned out to be a really nice looking edge. Now if you are doing a tied fringe edge, I'm using a rotary cutter and a ruler and a cutting mat, but this is just as easy to do with scissors, especially if you are doing it with children. I've taught my children how to do this, and we've actually done it before. So you want to come up about 4 inches. So that's 4 inches here and 4 inches here. So I'm just going to be putting this here to show you. So this, I would be cutting 1 inch strips up like this, and then here I would be doing the same. But as you can see, there's this giant square that's going to be on the edge, so I'm actually going to cut that out because you don't want that to be, you don't want a weird edge just hanging out there extra. Now I'm taking my rotary cutter and I'm cutting up 4 inches, and I'm going to stop at the ruler. This is one that you can do with scissors, and I'm actually going to turn this around so I can get the other side. And then I cut 1 inch strips like this. I cut that off because it's extra. So now you can see I have this fringe and I have this fringe. Now you take each one and you pull it. So as you can see, this side is much stretchier than this side. This is the vertical part of the fabric. So it's a little bit harder on the vertical side because it doesn't stretch as much, but you're going to tie it in a knot where you wrap it around itself and pull it through the loop. Just like that. And then you're going to do it to all of them all the way across. And once you have one side done, you're going to do the same to the other side. You would go all the way around, and once you have those all tied, then this fleece blanket would be finished. And that's how you make a DIY fleece blanket with a bunch of different finishes for the edges that you can choose from. I can't wait to see all of the DIY fleece blankets that you make. Please share them with me on social media. Check out these playlists with beginner sewing projects and handmade sewing gift ideas. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you have a wonderful day.